Good afternoon. Today is the 25th of March. It's a glorious day. As you can see, the jacket has been removed, and I want to take some time today to follow up a viewer request, which is to cover the cars used in the New Avengers. So the New Avengers was broadcast from 1976 to 1977 on London Weekend Television. It was made by an external production company, which was called the Avengers Film and Television Enterprises. It had nothing to do with the company that originally made the predecessor series, the Avengers, in the 60s. It was ABC Television. It was a new company formed by Brian Clemens, Laurie Johnson, and Albert Fennell, and they'd all of them worked on the Avengers. Clemens and Fennell had been the producers of the latest series of the Avengers, and Laurie Johnson was the composer of the later series of the Avengers, and they all came back to work on the New Avengers. So the basic plot of the New Avengers, which, without going into too much of what the Avengers predecessor series was about, is that you have three spies who work for the British government, mainly within Britain. It's not specified what department they work for. It's normally referred to as the ministry or the organisation or the department. The immediate superiors aren't regular. Sometimes you meet other people who will look like they're actually their bosses, but they're only with one episode. So the main people are John Steed, who's in his early 50s and was one of the main characters in the Avengers. There's Mike Gambit, who's in his 30s, who's a little bit younger, and there's Purdy, who just has one name for some reason, and she's in her, I'd say, late 20s, and they go around keeping Britain safe from her enemies. That's essentially all you need to know. Like the Avengers before it, the New Avengers is very stylistic, it's very quirky, but it deals in a bit of a different political landscape. The Cold War is still very much there, and there's still a diabolical mastermind, which is one of the main features of the Avengers. But it's a little bit more expensively filmed. It's got some location filming in France and in Canada. For 7 episodes, they filmed abroad for contractual reasons and financing reasons. And some people really like the New Avengers. Some people prefer the original Avengers. I kind of like both. I think I prefer the original series, but I think the New Avengers is really great as well. So Patrick Macnee played John Steed, Gareth Hunt played Mike Gambit, and Joanna Lumley played Purdy. It was her sort of breakout role, and she's still appearing in stuff even now. And there were some really wonderful cars used in the New Avengers. So I've talked a bit about the way in which British Leyland came and sort of effectively sponsored the New Avengers in a previous video. But suffice it to say that rather than having the Lotus Elan that Emma Peel had in the Avengers, or the AC 428 that Tara King had in the Avengers, they went for cars from the same sort of manufacturing group. So the main car you'd see John Steed driving is a Jaguar XJ12C. I do apologise. That is the ITC jingle there interrupting my video. It's very appropriate. The XJ12C that John Steed uses was actually built by a company called Broadspeed for track racing, and it's dark green. It's NWK 60p. That car was unique. It was a one-off. Why they used it, I don't really know. He would have been fine with a standard one, but that's what they did. And it was known as the Big Cat, and it was sold recently, I think, for about £70,000 in unrestored condition, which is amazing for a car like that. In addition to that, Patrick Macnee had a very early dark green Range Rover, a 1970 model as TXC 922J. XC was very often the registration prefix used for Solihull press cars and Land Rovers, but Solihull at the time. Mike Gambit, he also had a Range Rover. It was a white one. It's a more modern one. It's a 76 model. It's LOK 537P. Again, OK was a classic British Leyland sort of two-letter suffix. I'm not sure to say suffix, not prefix. Two-letter suffix for registration numbers of their press cars. Like Steed, Gambit also had a Jaguar. His was an XJS that was very new at the time. It was about a year old when the series came out. And he had a red one, which was a V12, as all of the early ones were. It was NRW875P. I don't know if they used more than one in the series. I can't really tell. I'm not an expert in that, but that's the car that he had. Joanna Lumley Purdy, she had two different cars. The earlier series, you'll see her in an MGB, which was the later model rubber bumpers. That's MOC232P. She also had a Triumph TR7. I think it's OOM532R. I could be wrong about that. You don't see it in many episodes, so I'm not that aware of it. And the final car for the main episodes was a Rover 3500. Another car that Patrick Macnee drove, which was also used in the professionals as MOC229P. Obviously, at various other points during the series, particularly because it was filmed in France and in Canada, in a couple episodes, you see another Rover SD1 or 3500 SD1 was the model code. 3500 is the engine size, just for anybody who doesn't know that. A sort of French registration, one which is left-hand drive. When they go to Canada, they use a few different cars. Steed normally uses yellow Jaguar XJS automatic, and Gambit and Purdy drive around in a red Triumph TR7 with a white stripe. Steed also uses a green Toyota Land Cruiser, and in the sort of later episodes, what you actually see is Purdy using a yellow Toyota Corolla hatchback. I don't know what happened. Maybe the British Leyland wasn't reliable enough and so they had to get Toyota in to change the cars at the last minute, but that's kind of what happened. The last episode of the new Avengers that was ever filmed is one called Emily, and the plot of the episode revolves around a 1941 Plymouth Deluxe, which is brown, and the fact that an enemy agent has left a fingerprint on it. They need to get the car to headquarters with the print still intact. It's utterly ridiculous, but you know, that anybody who likes old Plymouths, I'm sure, will be very happy about that, although the car does get blown up in the episode, which isn't too nice, but I suppose in the 70s they were pretty cheap things. One of the great things about the new Avengers of the Aston car chases, and in the Midas Touch, which is the second episode that was filmed, I think it was broadcast third or fourth, you see a chase between an Aston Martin DBS, which miraculously transforms into an Audi 100 Coupe at some point during the chase because I'm sure it broke down, and the Jaguar XJS, and that's well worth looking out for. It's a really interesting way they filmed it as well. But yeah, that's most of the sort of car things I want to say about the new Avengers. A final bonus fact about the series was that in one episode, one of John Steed's Bentleys from the earlier Avengers series turns up. That's an episode called K is for Kill, The Tiger Awakes Part 1. It's a very long episode title, but you see the Bentley that he drove in 1967 and 1968 in the Avengers, Bentley 3-litre YT3942 in just sort of one shot. Because the flashback was in 1965, I think, so they just hired the car for the day. Just in case anybody accuses me of not doing my research properly. So I really hope you found that video interesting. The new is one of my favourite series, and it's a real pleasure to talk about it. I might have another video actually with a fellow fan of mine who's also interested in cars about the series in future. If any of you would like to see that, maybe we'll have a Skype call together or something and talk more about the cars. But anyway, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please like this video. Please leave a comment below. My website is www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. If you'd like me to source a car for you, it doesn't have to be anything that we've mentioned in the video, of course. My Facebook page is facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. And thank you ever so much indeed for watching.